branches seemed to be as devoid of life as this bleak and decrepit recess. We drifted among the clawing thicket around us, seemingly impenetrable in its obstructions, though, by the ghoulish headlights of the vehicle, winding paths seemed to appear from parted thickets and thorns.
There's an awful lot of dead here, wouldn't you say, Bennet? This place doesn't even seem fit for the animals. Why, just look at those deer over there.
Amidst a small clearing, we could spot a brief glimpse of rather emaciated deer and her fawn, staring blankly up at the darkening sky.
No wonder Barahak is abandoned. There's an awful vibe about this whole place. The only thing that's thriving here are all of these vines. This certainly would not be my first choice for a holiday destination. Rest assured.
Just have your wits about you.
As should you, Bennet. It seems we've reached our destination.
The Cadillac had come to a halt amongst the crunching, dead leaves, ahead of a structure that could only be likened to a sort of walk-in tomb, surrounded by a triumvirate of cyclopean pillars of an admittedly embellished design, the peaking moonlight casting shadows now against the black marble in various states of disrepair.
Say, chauffeur, is this our stop?
There was no audible response from our driver. He simply exited the vehicle and made his way to our doors to open them for us in his slow, deliberate sort of gait. As we stepped out, he made a grunt as he gestured towards the door of the tomb-like structure.
Well, Bennet, by your leave.
Giving Solomon a nod of assurance, I take the front, walking past two of the pillars that would form a triangle shape about the perimeter of the building, the symbol of Atu's company. The golden eye amidst this same shape lay decorated upon the entrance door.
So, should we just knock?
It was at this time, the moment I laid a foot atop the crumbling stone step below the entrance, that I noticed the faint glimmers of something in the hue of a sinister lavender. Sinister because of how the night air seemed to instantly grow frigid at the sight of it. Sinister because of how, despite a certain uneasiness at how the strange shard gleamed with the radiance of distant stars in the night, myself, and yes, Solomon now too, could not avert our eyes from it.
That moment be necessary.
Awoken from our stupor, behind us, seeming to be carried amongst a stray wind, a whisper of a voice that materialized into the figure of the driver next to us. His countenance seemed to take on an almost completely different form. The previously imposing silhouette seemed to soften under the pale light of the moon, and his posture shifted from the rugged hunch of a ghoul to one much more upright and welcoming.
Atu has been expecting your arrival. I understand that you gentlemen are under time constraints, as is our master. So, let us not delay.
So you do speak? Then how do you explain?
On Solomon's shoulder in a gesture of affirmation, before nodding to our driver, now turned apparent escort to our meeting. I knew of Solomon's disquiet, as I felt it too. The faint shiver against the atmosphere of uncertainty. The curiosity of what lay ahead, though, urged me onward. Lead the way. We are prepared.
Then, by my lead, mind your step ahead and do not stray from my light.
Is a torch really necessary? Doesn't this company believe in, well, you know, a more modern infrastructure?
This is Atu's beloved gallery, gentlemen. You should be honored for the opportunity that our Lord deem you worthy of admission.
Our Lord? What kind of...
More importantly, this will afford you a great degree of privacy. As I understand it, Sanders Association is at the cusp of a most revolutionary invention, yes? Atu has always been an advocate for the dreamers and innovators of today. He will see that your needs are met without prying eyes.
I suppose. Although this does seem a bit overboard. It's not as if we're discussing nuclear weapons schematics here.
Truthfully, I was in agreement with Solomon. The almost ritualistic halls of this cavern that we had seemed to enter reeked of the remnants of shady dealings, figuratively and literally.
The scent flowing from these passageways is simply repugnant, and it feels like they twist and turn for miles.
The air was absolutely stagnant, and it seemed to somehow grow warmer and warmer as we made our advance. Many branching paths to these tunnels, but we seemed to be following a singular path, a spiraling one at that, seemingly approaching some sort of center.
Is there no greater privilege than to dream, my friends?
The sudden question had startled us. Solomon and I could only glance at each other, with seemingly neither of us able to form a coherent response before our mysterious escort continued.
To imagine concepts yet unseen, to conjure locales and beings of all manners of shape and size, to escape into a reality all unto your own. Ah, the working mind can be a haven for the designs of your own creation. Keep your minds open as you pass through these gates.
Illuminated by the dimming flames of his torch, our escort halts before a large weathered door of a deep black marble, decorated with all manner of incomprehensible runes amidst a myriad of golden eyes. At the center shined a familiar piece of jewel, gleaming that same sinister purple.
That gemstone is absolutely stunning, Bennet. Why, I could just stare at it for hours.
Welcome, esteemed guests. I am pleased to see you in good health. Come, Atu expects you. I will lead you from this.
Guided by a torchlight of her own, the small woman dressed in a tattered assortment of what seemed to be bandages and pieces of cut silken robes fashioned together made her entrance from the parting doors. Her skin gave off a ghoulish glow, and her green eyes were heavy with deep bags. They fixate on me, her form creeping toward me in an almost mechanical advance. Trying to avoid eye contact, I glance over an elaborate necklace. Following its path down to her bosom, I'm greeted by yet another, rather large and finely cut shaping of the ever-present gem of lavender.
She will now guide you. I shall await your return to the surface by the car. Best wishes on your meeting. They must not be touched. Bring them to the dark. Nothing more. There will be others.
Whatever our mysterious driver had whispered to the ghoulish woman had seemed to snap her out of some sort of trance. A brief look of disappointment crossed her face before a nod of affirmation to him.
I understand. Our time is limited, dearest guests. These halls have been known to swallow men whole. If you let them. Stay close. New opportunities lie just beyond.
Percocet, gang, gang. Chase a chick, chase. Never chase a bitch, chase no bitch. Mask on, fucking mask on, mask on, fucking mask on, Percocet, Miley Percocet. Chase a chick, chase. Never chase a bitch, chase no bitch. 2 cups, toast up with the gang, gang. From food stamps to a whole nother domain. Out, yeah. I'm a living proof, so ain't compromising. $500,000